Just a few weeks ago, a US senator reported how US aid funding has been used for years to fund terrorist activities. The news wasn't really a shock because history has shown that the West has committed several acts of destabilization in its own interests. This revelation brings to mind the numerous treacherous attempts to overthrow Captain Ibrahim Traoré and destabilize Burkina Faso. One such attempt was recently uncovered, involving a foreign agent caught with billions of CFA francs, trying to persuade the Burkina Faso military to betray their leader. But the question is, was the attempt successful? And more importantly, what does this reveal about the broader geopolitical struggle unfolding in West Africa? Before we dive deep into this shocking revelation, make sure to subscribe to the African Web channel and turn on notifications to stay updated with insightful content on Africa's political and economic landscape. Africa's history is filled with instances where foreign nations, particularly Western powers, have interfered in the political affairs of independent African states. The destabilization of African governments has always followed a familiar pattern: economic exploitation, political manipulation, and military interventions. The French colonial empire, for example, established strong economic and military ties with its former colonies, ensuring that even after independence, these nations remained within its sphere of influence. This influence was maintained through military agreements, economic dependencies, and even the controversial CFA franc, which many argue is a tool for economic control. The CFA franc, used by multiple West African nations, is pegged to the euro and controlled by the French treasury. This arrangement ensures that these countries cannot fully control their own monetary policies, keeping them in an economic chokehold. Many African leaders who attempted to break free from this system faced severe consequences. Leaders like Thomas Sankara of Burkina Faso, who advocated for self-reliance and economic independence, were assassinated under suspicious circumstances. Given this history, Captain Ibrahim Traoré's rise to power and his push for true sovereignty were bound to meet resistance. Any leader who challenges foreign dominance over African resources automatically becomes a target. The recent bribery attempt on Burkina Faso's military is just another chapter in this long history of foreign subversion. In a recent interview, President Traoré made a striking statement. He revealed that when his government took power in 2022, many officers trained in France were immediately contacted to take action against him. These officers, trained not to serve their countries but to serve French interests, were put to the test. The reality is that many African nations have military personnel who undergo training in Western countries, but at what cost? Are they being groomed to protect their homeland, or are they being conditioned to act as pawns for foreign agendas? This is a crucial point because history shows that military officers trained by former colonial powers often act in ways that align with the interests of those countries rather than their own people. Consider the case of Mobutu Sese Seko in the Democratic Republic of Congo. A military officer trained by Belgium, Mobutu staged a coup with the support of Western powers and ruled as a dictator for decades, ensuring that Congo's vast resources remained accessible to foreign corporations. Could the same tactic be at play in Burkina Faso? Could the reason for Captain Traoré's relentless struggles stem from the deep-rooted foreign influence within the military ranks? A few weeks ago, Burkina Faso authorities uncovered a dangerous plot involving a foreign agent, 5 billion CFA francs, and some members of the Burkina Faso military. The objective? To bribe soldiers into staging a coup against Captain Traoré. Perhaps the foreign agent assumed that the soldiers he approached would be those trained in France, willing to betray their country. But was he correct? The operation began when this foreign agent arrived in Ouagadougou under the guise of an investor. He carried a suitcase filled with 5 billion CFA francs, but it wasn't for investment in infrastructure or social projects. Instead, the money was meant to fund a coup that would throw Burkina Faso into chaos. But who was this agent, and what was his end goal? From the moment this agent made contact with the soldiers, his plan began to unravel. The soldiers he met turned out to be staunch loyalists of Captain Traoré. But rather than rejecting the offer outright, they decided to play along to expose the conspiracy. Why? Because they knew they were dealing with someone backed by powerful foreign entities, and they needed to uncover the full extent of the plot. For weeks, these soldiers feigned interest, engaging the agent multiple times, gathering intelligence, and reporting back to their superiors. This was a dangerous gamble, but they remained resolute in their mission to protect their nation. After weeks of intelligence gathering, Burkina Faso's military executed the final phase of the operation. On November 8, 2024, the suspect organized a meeting to finalize the betrayal. Confident that he had secured the loyalty of the soldiers, he prepared to hand over the 5 billion CFA francs. However, unbeknownst to him, the Burkinabe military had already set up a counter-strategy. As the meeting was underway, security forces stormed the venue, apprehending the suspect along with his suitcase of cash. What followed was a rigorous series of interrogations and investigations to uncover the masterminds behind the plot, who benefits from destabilization. Once this information became public, it sent a powerful message to external forces. Burkina Faso will not be subdued by foreign conspiracies. In a televised address, President Traoré praised the brave soldiers who risked their lives to protect their nation. This wasn't just about capturing one individual. It was about sending a resounding message that Burkina Faso stands united against corruption, foreign meddling, and any efforts to disrupt its stability. But this raises another crucial question. Who exactly orchestrated this scheme? Was this an isolated attempt or part of a larger plan to destabilize West Africa? Reports indicate that the arrested suspect was merely a pawn controlled by powerful foreign operatives based in neighboring countries. These entities have vested interests in destabilizing Burkina Faso to maintain control over its rich natural resources, including gold, manganese, and phosphate. This follows a pattern seen across Africa, where resource-rich nations are often the targets of external interference. Since Captain Traoré took office in 2022, he has survived multiple assassination attempts, more than any other African leader in recent history. The most recent attempt, the 10th, was particularly sinister. Unlike previous direct attacks, this one resulted in the deaths of hundreds of civilians and military personnel. Why is Traoré being targeted so relentlessly? Is it because his leadership threatens the long-standing exploitation of Burkina Faso's resources? His push to reclaim Burkina Faso's wealth, renegotiate contracts with foreign companies, and prioritize national interests has made him a major obstacle to those profiting from the old system. Despite numerous coup attempts and assassination plots, Captain Traoré remains unwavering in his vision for a sovereign Burkina Faso. However, with increasing foreign interference, one question remains: will there ever be a time when these attacks stop? Or is Burkina Faso destined to remain under siege by those who refuse to see an independent and thriving African nation? Burkina Faso's resilience in the face of foreign conspiracies serves as an inspiration to other African nations. But as history has shown, the struggle for true independence is never easy. The fight against neocolonialism is a battle that requires vigilance, unity, and unwavering leadership. What do you think about these persistent attempts to destabilize Burkina Faso? Do you believe foreign entities will ever stop meddling in Africa's affairs? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the African Web for more updates on Africa's fight for sovereignty.